I am feeling great and I'm feeling incredible. Thank you for clicking on this video. And what you are going to discover or explore in this video is a sense of my story, and not about the story of my life, but a hinge of that story. You know, I am from a farming family. That means we live off farming. And basically, growing up, I never knew we were poor. And you know what is really funny about poverty? Poverty is really tricky because if you think about it, what is actually poverty? Poverty is about not having what is needed to survive. And in my family, and as most of the people in my community, they are producers. They have everything they need. We produce everything that we want, and we buy very little things. That means we needed very little from the outside world. We were not living like self-sufficient people, but we did live in that sort of way. So every farm product we need, we produce them. Now, what changed my definition of if whether we were poor or rich? I just got to the point that I read a book when I was 14. And that book not only opened my mind to the words and reshaped the way I see what success mean, but also it projected me into a world of infinite abundance, that we could have more than what we had, that we could have been better, we could have everything that we desired, and that those things were not just for certain kind of people. And now, mind you, like I said, we were not poor. Like, we had everything we need, but we didn't have cars, we didn't have like big houses, we didn't have any of those kind of fancy modern toys or tools that people used to play with. We didn't have none of all these, computers and all these things. We just have, like every normal people, every normal person growing in that kind of period. You can definitely have a hands of what I'm talking about. Then, throughout these moments, it was already fun. Like, it was just, a little kid growing up and having fun, and just I mean, I can still remember those moments. It's just really fun. Now, my sense of redefining what success means started when we were just introduced to the new world. I mean, the social media world, where you can get access to whatever people you want and actually dream from above. Like, you can see people that live in the kind of life that you dreamed of. And I think most of people on the internet are definitely influenceable by the lifestyle that certain people that respect or that they admire live. And that lifestyle is what first motivated me to want to do more or to want to become more. And now, as every little kid, like, we dream, so we have dreams, we want to do things. There are kids that want to become presidents, and there are certain kids that want to become a business person, or there are other kids that want just to become very good lawyers and all that. So every kid has kind of a dream. One of the critical part of being from Africa and moving to Europe was not understanding that I was not really poor, but I just needed a system to use my resources carefully. Now, think about it. The world is just a really common place. The world in Europe is not that much different from the principal basics of life than how the world is in Africa. Africa is just another part of the world, is not another world. Of course, there is a different reality over there, but that doesn't make it a new different planet. It's just the same planet. Now, there are things in Europe that has, Europe and the Western world that's more developed than it is that than they are in Africa, and those are the things that they've worked on for like thousand, ten is ten. I mean, um, for years, and those lead to a kind of progression in the civilization and the way the society is organized. And we think about the educational system, we think about also the political system, economical system, and everything are structured to allow a kind of lifestyle in the society, and that lifestyle leads to certain people being extremely rich and other being middle class and just average people in the society. Now, what is the difference between where I'm from and here? The people in my village are auto entrepreneurs. Most people have their farm and they do their stuff. They don't depend on the government, they don't depend on a job. They all have the farm, and they're auto survivor. They to have the things, and they regulate the home, and that is it. But here there is a centralized system. Of course there is a democracy, like nobody is controlling how you do your stuff, but after all, you depend on the system, you depend on the political system to survive, which is not bad, which is really great because of the healthcare, because of all the benefits that you can have from the government. But after all, there is also the limit to that. Now, there are different kind of role that these two kind of world overtake, the Western world and the southern underdeveloping country in Africa undertake. Now, one of those roles is people in those countries, in the countries in Africa or all the kind of country under development around the world are more living in community. They're living in community, they gather around themselves, and they truly value the value of other human being. They really live together. And here there's more about capitalism, which is where it's more about individualism. People are really more focused on themselves, and they wanna survive, and there is no time ready for the other person. And there is that is the sense of family is more and more deprived, and they don't have the sense of family anymore. Now, this doesn't mean it's bad or it's good, it just means this is how it is. Now, if you don't understand this reality before coming from a country like a country where everybody is so organized in a society, where you are feeling like you're controlled, but you want to get out of that and get into a system where there is more democracy, well, there is not really that kind of democracy that you may be hoping for. The democracy there is a system that provide certain kind of regulation to the people to work under a kind of condition just to survive. Now, that might not be the case in your country, but what has led to the system here in Europe or in other kind of Western country is critical, and is the same thing that also require them to have control over the population. That is it. That is difficult for them, but I do it. So for the young Africans, and I was a time ago thinking about, there was a times ago, hundred of years ago, and the European going to Africa showed slavery and forcing Africans to come to Europe, and the Africans, they were running away, like they don't want to go to Europe, and they were forcing them, buying them like goods, commodities, and bringing them to Europe and other countries around the Western world. But nowadays, the younger Africans just take the boat and forcing themselves to go to Europe or go to America, where American people don't want them anymore. Now, see how time changed and see how things change so fast. This is how things change, and this is how some times ago people were chasing our grandparents to get them in my country, and now we are chasing the people to go into the country where they don't want us anymore. Just see how funny this reality is now. What is the thing that has happened that made those people want us some times ago and now they don't want you again? That is a question to ask. Now, I'm not here to make a anti-racism anti-racism or racism speech, but I'm just saying that Africans should, start thinking more about how to build and how to definitely construct a society in which we definitely grow as Africans, and in which we have power and some kind of autosufficiency uh, to help our community and to grow as a nation, because the world don't want you, because you have to develop yourself, and the world don't want to make you rich. The world just wants you to serve them. Now, there is something beautiful about Africa, and being here, it is only been here that I've been able to listen to the other side of the picture, and see how certain people think about Africa, which I never in my life thought about, and it has been really funny because um, throughout my really young age, I listened to different kind of Pan Africans, and the debate about Africa, and how they think the world should see Africans, and that really shaped my mind, and is how I see myself as a young African. And that was really tough, growing up and being here in the 2022 or 2023, seeing that certain people still think that African is just kind of a jungle. And well, I mean, that doesn't really mean much to me, but it is a debate that is still going on, and in a certain people mind, it is really, how they see you, and how they see you as a human being is really limited to what they see in the media, and what they read about Africa, and what they see in movies about Africa, which is not just necessarily true. Now, there are really rich people in Africa, there are really rich country in Africa, although they are not everybody in Africa that are rich. And what do you mean also by rich? Because that is where I started the video from, which is what does it mean to be rich? I mean, the people that are here, not everybody is rich. There are a lot of consumers here, and there are a lot of people who work in a job and just getting paid enough to survive. Those are people who are not rich, although they have a car, which I didn't have in my village, but I wasn't no poorer than them. Of course, they have a better system, a healthcare system, but after all, that doesn't make any more difference than just not being able to have control of that over the time as I had over mine, and that doesn't make them richer than me. Of course, this is not a coping mechanism that I want to describe to compare if this is better to be poor in Africa or if it's better to be poor in Europe. Being poor in whatever part in the world is not good at all, and I don't think being happy in whatever part of the world is better than being sad in any other part of the world. But we should understand that it is not because someone is living in a certain part of the world that they are automatically happy or rich, because there are also people in really rich countries that are really poor. Like, it's not because the United States is rich that everybody in the United States are rich. There are really poor people in the United States that would be even better being in Africa or in my country or in my village. So I don't think people should actually see the world through the lens of, because we have this building, we have this system that the people here are better off. But of course, there are certain things in the system in which they live that protect them from certain kind of natural disaster, but necessarily doesn't make them any better than the other people in the other side of the world. Now, we do experience different kind of evolutional progress in which some part of the world are retarded than other part of the world. Now we see the rise of China, the rise of Asia, and also the rise of certain kind of countries around the world. But a lot of countries in Africa are actually still behind on the technological development that is happening around the world, notably around AIs and other kind of the newest technology. And we think about them, we be like, okay, what is needed to be changed in the way Africans live and how Africans are being educated, and that is also come down to the main concept or the main core principle that govern a society, like the education, the healthcare, and all that. And the education is the first one, because the people that live in a certain part of the world are just the result of what they are fed as education or information. And most of the kids in Africa or in my countries, because Africa is a continent actually, and I shouldn't be mentioning Africa as if it was a country. Well, ironically, it has been considered as being a country to a lot of people, but it's not really ambiguous to think of that. But now, mentioning Africa is also not meaning that all part of the Africa is poor, because they are really rich country in Africa and they are really rich individual in Africa. But just for the sake of mentioning that part of the world as one, that is why I keep mentioning the whole continent as one. And even though there are a lot of people in the continent that don't consider themselves being part of, being associated with the rest of the people in the continent. And what I was talking about first was the education. The education is really crucial. The way people are educated and the kind of information that are being fed into their mind, and that is really critical to think about. And if you feed people with they are not equal to the rest of the humanity, whatever education you give them is being fed into an inferior system of the brain, because they are not going to definitely use that information to compete at the global level. Now, that is something that is very common in our system, in our educational system. A lot of children in Africa or in a certain country in Africa are fed that they are not as special as the other kid in the world, and they truly grow up believing that they cannot do as much as other people around the world can do. Now, I remember when we were kids, it's been said and it was believed, certain parents believe that the other people of the other color are gods, that they can produce things, they can make things that we cannot make. And they are the type of people that are to make things, and we cannot do them. Now, it is really critical, because we are, let's suppose we are having the same educations, we are having the same material, and my belief is it is only the other person that will be able to make these things. Well, how well in the world will I use the information to make things, even I feel like I have the capacity to do it? And now this is the first principle of education. Education is not just about mathematics, it's not about science, it's not about all that. Is first about the belief. What is the first core of belief? What are the children being feeding? What are they fed to believe? What is their core belief? What do they believe about themselves? What are the parents teaching them? What are the the parent telling them about themselves. And we are living now 2025. I still believe there are certain parents in Africa or around the world still telling their children that they are not meant to be like the others, like the others are born to be gods, and that is the other that have the power to do certain kind of thing. Okay, that is not bad, but do you see how much trouble you are causing to the brain of the little ones? Because here you clearly telling the kid that he will never be able to use the kind of information he's getting to create whatever he envisioned in his mind. And that is the kind of education that is literally given to a lot of people in underdeveloping country, where they develop a really low self-esteem without knowing, and whatever education they get, they just feel like they will never be able to do whatever they want to do, because clearly they see themselves as not the kind of people that can do whatever they want to do. That is really critical, because I don't think we need first to change just the mathematics. There are really important things we learn from school. Like there are really tons of important things we learn from school. Of course, when I was in school, in my secondary years, I was still really like, I don't like these things. It's really boring, but there were a lot of important things out there. Like it is in the school I learned to speak French. It is in the school I started to learn first to speak English, although I didn't learn to speak English fully in school. But it is in school that we learn a lot of things. Now there are a lot of things that we learn at school. Here is the important thing: those things that we learn, how do we use them? They are not necessarily applied to our reality, because our reality is that we believe we are not good as the other are. We believe that we cannot do as much they can do, and that is how our reality is shaped. The reality is shaped by how we view ourselves, and no matter what education we get, it is not going to serve us, because first, our reality, our belief system is not serving us. And that is the first point that Africans and a lot of young people are being fed in, and that is enough. We have to stop that. And now, because we are in 2025, and parents, most importantly, should stop feeding the kid with this kind of beliefs. And this belief is deadly. This belief is detrimental to the future of our younger brothers and our younger kids. Parents, I urge you to stop this kind of belief, to stop this kind of thinking and indoctrinating your children and your sisters, your brothers with this kind of deadly belief, because your kid or your children are just as smart as the other are. And if only you feed them with that belief, they can use properly whatever they're learning in school and put them into practice. Look around you. Everything that is built by young people, brand people. But what is wrong with our youngest one? We feed them with the knowledge and the belief that the only thing that they can do is just to play football or just to do a sort of shit. But who creates the games? Who create the games that the footballer are playing in? Who creates all these things like the normal people, young people like us? And now we feed the youngest one that they should play in the games that someone like us also creates. Now this is not good. This is not serving us at all. We should stop this kind of belief, and we should stop them and right now, because it is not serving anyone. It is not serving the continent. It is not serving the youth, and it is not serving the parent, and it is not serving the world, because Africans can make the world a better place as well. We are also capable as everyone in the planet. We have also the great abilities. We have also the great talents to apport and bring something really good to the table. Now, this does not mean we're asking for favor from other people. We don't necessarily have to beg for the favor of people, but we just need to stop the belief that we are not capable, that we cannot do as much as them, and we are not asking for favor, but we have to bring what we are capable of on the table. We have to bring it, and we cannot bring it until we stop believing that we cannot do it. We have to do it when we start believing that we are actually capable of doing it. And that starts first with bearing down all these limiting belief that we've been carrying for years around us. That is important. That is truly important, because we have so many bright young men around the continent that are limited in their talents and just having so much bright minds and don't know how they can use those things, because they definitely don't believe they can do it, and then they are limited, and they don't even want to collaborate between themselves because we don't trust each other. Those are the kind of issues that we face on the continent, and people don't want to trust each other anymore, because from thousands of years we have for hundreds of years we have had the history of not being able to trust each other, and this has to stop. We have to be able to collaborate, we have to be able to cooperate, and we have to be able to help each other to create really great solutions that help the continent, that help people around the continent, that help upgrade the education system. We don't have to keep criticizing this thing anymore. We have to bring we have to bring a really good solution of all these problems. We have to be active on all these issues, and we have to be able to help the youngest one have a really good understanding of what is going around the world, because the education system has to be changed, but first starting from the mindset that the people carry into the education system. We don't have to keep doing the same thing from like 10,000 of years ago. We have to upgrade, we have to change a lot of things, around these things. And now this doesn't happen just overnight. It is a long journey that we have to go on. Now, why do I make this video important? Because when I was growing up, I saw a lot of people around me. I thought they were rich. They were not, because rich is not about just how much money you have. It is really different than that. Or although different people have different type of definition of what they mean by rich. And these people, I was like, okay, I would like to have a documentation of how they got to where they are, but they were not. And for myself, I thought I would make one available for the youngest one when I go on to my journey to become rich. But here is the thing: when I started my journey into the way to become rich, I stopped also doing the same thing. Like, I didn't make any documentation. I was not recording anything. I was not reflecting on anything. I was just living like just the people I was criticizing were doing. And now, how will this change if I don't take action to record even the moment I don't think is successful yet? And how would that change over a continent if each person is just waiting for the big day? How will that change around? Ladies and gentlemen, we have to just take advantage of each single day. Tomorrow is not guaranteed. I may not guarantee tomorrow. I might become billionaire tomorrow, but it is not here yet. What is here today is just today, and that is what I can share with you. It might not be beautiful, it might not be the richest I can be, it might not be the most eloquent as I can speak, it might not be the more richest I can look like, but it is what I got to share with you, and is what you can just take advantage of. Because however I am now, however the situation is, there is certainly someone around the world that's going to take advantage of this moment and can take inspiration from this and motivation from this and go from here and become a legend around the world. And that's what we need. We don't need the moment of the glory, and the glory is each day, the glory is each moment, each second. This moment specifically is the glory, because it will not happen ever again. It is unique. This moment specifically, as you listening to me now, it is unique. Listen, this moment is special because as you are here now listening to this message, there might be something around you, and even in thousands of years coming from now, if you come back to listen to the same message, it will not sound exactly the same ever again. There will be something changing. Well, the video might be the same, but you might not be the same person listening to the video or watching the video. The video might be the same. I can be the same in the video, but you might not be in the same mood. You might be with a friend, you might be drinking water, you might be doing something different. That is why the present is called present, because it's a gift, and that is the gift. This moment is a gift. And if everyone in Africa, If everyone around the world can do the same thing, motivate each other, inspire each other, the world will definitely become a better place. That is what we can do. That is the moment we can do this. This is the message to the world. This is the message to my younger fellow African leaders. You know that this is your work. You know that this is your journey. You know this is your mission, and you know this is your purpose, to just make the life of others become better. Because what is all the thing that you can do, the best that you can do is to make the life of those around you become better. How much money do you need? How much more do you need to feel powerful? How much wealth can you definitely use? I mean, we all need money. I need money. I will definitely love to drive the beautiful car. I specifically love Lamborghini and Ferraris. I do love those beautiful cars. But how much car can you drive at once? I think just only one car. How many birds can you sleep in at one night? Just one bird. How many women can you sleep with in one moment? Just one. And that is just what you need. You need one thing at a time. But how many people can you save at a time? Millions of them. How many people can you help? Millions of them. How many people can you impart? Millions of them. But why can we do that? I mean, this is what we are here to do, to inspire and to help. Of course, we are not perfect. There are mistakes we make along the process. There are things that we can do wrong. But this is the moment that we reflect on our journey as humanity to this moment, and reflect again to see what we can do to make the world a better place, and stop this limiting belief around our children, around our kids. Those limiting beliefs are not helping anybody. They're not helping anybody around the world, not even our family. These are to stop. We need to stop this, and we need to stop them. And now this is important, because Africans are really bright, and they can afford also as much as the Asian around the world, as the European around the world, as the American around the world. We can afford as everybody. We don't need to beg for that. We just need to stop believing that we are not capable enough, that we cannot do it. We just need to stop believing that, and we need to believe that we are just capable as they are, and we need to believe that we can do it as they are can do, and we need to stop consuming the content that tell you otherwise. You need to stop consuming those kind of content and stop thinking, how can you create the better system in Africa? How can you create the better system education in Africa? Now, you might not be the government, you might not be the billionaire, but you can do something. You can start somewhere. We can do something. We can, literally start this. You can do it, and you can also earn your life too. You can definitely do it and become rich. Why doing it? Why can you do whatever you do to help people and not become rich? You are to do whatever you have to do to help the world to become a better place, and probably become rich at doing it. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is important that we stop feeding our youngest one with the belief that they are not enough, that they cannot become as the greatest in the world. Of course, not everybody will become the greatest in the world, but everybody can become the greatest of themselves. And that's what we need in the world. We need everybody to become just the great version of themselves, and the world will become a greater place. Thank you for your time, and I hope from today you start motivating people around you, start inspiring people around you, to give them the vision, to give them the belief that they can do whatever they want to do, not in a negative way, but to put positivity in the world, and to bring more inspiration and motivation in the world. Thank you, and God bless you.